I do not have the time or the skill for this project. Something that I did not want to do was individually plane 14 sheets of MDF to the exact contours of my Victorian walls. I already have a mess on the walls. So we're gonna get another like 35 to 50 books on shelves. I'm about to heavily deplete these stacks. I woke up this morning quite late actually because I slept in. It is a Saturday and my intention after I had my coffee and read a little bit of my book was to clean and organize the library because I have books everywhere, things that should be in the stacks but haven't quite made it there, things that are going to be going in when I finish this episode of Shelf It or Scrap It that I'm working on. And I got a little bit carried away. I've been itching to do some home improvement recently. We actually have a guy coming early next week to give us a quote on retiling the kitchen floor, which I've wanted done forever. But I was just itching to get something done and I was thinking about putting shelves in the alcove of the landing upstairs. However, I need to repaint and redecorate all of the landing and I don't really see the point in doing it yet because we need to get like a new full bathroom replacement. So, you know, there's no point like redecorating the hallway to have people like dragging stuff through it and dragging things out of it when they're taking out the bathroom we've currently got. So I was like, you know, somewhere else I actually want shelves. Is this alcove. So we went out at like 1 p.m, went to B&Q, got all of the supplies that we needed to get this done, and it is now 6 p.m. and we're going to get started. I do not have the time or the skill for this project, but we are going to give it a go anyway. It's also Father's Day tomorrow, so we both have to go out to see obviously our dad, so we don't even have like a full day to do this. I think honestly if we woke up in the morning we had one entire day aside from the painting of the shelves, we could get it done, but we just don't have that time. I'm also currently like filming and editing ahead because I'm going away next month for like 12 days, so I don't really have work days that I would normally be able to set aside to do something like this. So we're just gonna see how it progresses, but I'll show you what we've got material wise. So I don't know as of yet how many shelves we are actually going to get into the alcove. I obviously want quite a lot. I want to maximize the space that I have, which is why I want to put shelves in this alcove and get rid of this bookshelf. It is sagging in the middle. I'll show you all that in a minute, but I'm aiming for 8. We might only get 7, but I've bought enough supplies for 8. So I have 10 of these. These are not quite 2B1s, 1B2 timber battens. I can't remember which type they are because there was a bunch of different ones. This is untreated planed timber. Honestly, I didn't realize that timber came in so many types until I went, so hopefully it's good enough. It's the right size. It's the size that my dad told me to get anyway. And then I bought 2 really big MDF sheets. I think they were something like 2.4 meters by 1.6 meters. And I got 1887 by 30 centimeter things cut out of it. So the idea is that we are going to make a framework out of the battens, kind of like this, and then an MDF sheet on the top and the bottom. Hopefully they'll look similar to how these ones look in terms of like the, what's it called? The building of them, like the configuration, the way that they're assembled, the assembly, that's the word, which I had these professionally done. So these 2 here cost me £250 about 5 years ago. I think it was either during COVID or just before. No, it must have been like 2021. So like during COVID. The supplies that I've bought for this have cost me £117, and that actually included some floor cleaner that we got. So we'll see how it goes. It might not work. I like to think about doing projects like this, but I always convince myself like, oh, I'm just gonna make a mess, it's gonna go wrong, and it's gonna take me more time to fix it than just to leave it. But I was feeling some type of way this morning and Curtis was indulging me. So I'll show you the shelves. This bookcase has 6 shelves in it. As you can see, it is at capacity like everything in my library. These are the boxes that I save for when I sell my unhaul books so I can send them away. And then we have like a kind of a 7th shelf because we have like loads of my special edition Sarah J Maas stuff up here. So we essentially have 7 shelves. I'm looking to make 8, which will essentially just be an extra one here. But we are also going to gain quite a bit of space here. So I reckon with the space that we have on both sides of this, we're going to be able to get an extra 3 or 4 books per shelf. So I did the math on it, and I think it was something like, if we go with an extra 3 books per shelf plus an extra shelf, I should get an extra 43 books shelved just by converting this alcove into more efficient storage. And then if you look at it anyway, as you can see, these shelves are bowing in the middle. This is an £80 bookcase that I bought probably once again about 5 years ago, once I realized that I couldn't have this alcove professionally shelved, because they quoted me £750 for this, and I was like, I just can't really afford that right now. I got this then, and it's pretty, I like it, but it's like, it's not even, if you, I don't know if you can tell, but this, like, there's more space here than here, because it's leaning inwards. So it's time for it to go. Hopefully it's time for me to build a bookcase or a set of shelves of my dreams. If I can do this, if this works, you are going to hate to see me coming, because the renovation is going to be non-stop if I can pull this off. This line here is where the batten is going to go, but this one is actually the bottom of the shelf, because we're going to put the 6mm MDF on the bottom of the batten. So when we do like the drilling, we need to line up with this line. This is the actual bottom of the shelf, which is where the 31 centimeters, and it looks like really small at the minute, but I measured it off that bookshelf, and like, those don't look small. The way I did the measurement is the distance between shelves on that bookcase that we've just taken out, plus the depth of the shelf that we're now putting in, and I gave it an extra like ½ centimeter as well, so it should be fine. Once we put the batons in for like 2 of them, we can put the MDF board on and see.
Baton, is that the right word?
Baton, well, it's like it's a timber, a 2B1. Once we get the 2B1 on the wall, so I'm just like embodying my dad right now, you get the 2B1 on the wall and then when we've got 2 on, I'll put the MDF, like the top sheets on, and then test and see that it's big enough before we proceed. Oh, and I was right, we are only going to get 7 in. The top one is here, but then the like 8th shelf is actually like the floor, the distance between the floor and the bottom shelf. So we've got 7 in, so we've got an extra shelf, like, in case we fuck up, which we probably will.
On the surface, ain't a James Dean type. We're just cooped up in a cruiser on a Friday night. We could let it ride. What'd you say? I quit being overthinking about everything. Give it up, tell you what I wanna say right now. 'Cause I could do the John Hughes kinda or cliche, but either way, I need to say.
I just got back from my dad's. It's about 4:30 p.m. now, and I'm gearing up to get stuck back into this. Curtis is not home yet though. He is around 20 minutes away. He went to see his dad while I went to see mine. So I thought that I would show you where we got up to last night. So we finished at about 9:45 p.m. and we've gotten all of the back battens in. We have discovered though that the wall is curved, which we knew it was going to be. We knew we were not going to have any easy angles to deal with here, but as you can see, for example, here, the wall is like not as deep here as it is over here. So we're right tight to the wall here. We've got a little bit of a gap here. Now it's still firmly anchored into the wall, so it's not really going to be an issue. So the MDF is either going to cover it, or we're going to end up with a little gap at the back that we can fill with filler later. And that is pretty consistent through all of the pieces that we've put in. So far, I'm really happy with what we've got. I've tested to make sure that the right distance apart. They are. It is going to be quite snug. There's going to be about a centimeter of space in between the top of my hardback books and the bottom of the next shelf, but I did once again cross measure with the normal bookshelf, which is of course this one, and it is about the same. Let's see if I can find a book. Which one was I using to measure up? So look, like it's not very much space at all, because I was worried at first. I was like, this is going to be really tight, but I think it's pretty standard to how like generic bookshelves are. And I really wanted to maximize the space that I had and get as many books on here as possible. The fact that we don't have too much space at the top or bottom is fine. There is one shelf, I think it's maybe the gap between these top two, where it is like the smallest, but the rest of them we have a good like 2.5 centimeters, 2 to 2.5 centimeters right now, which is going to be reduced by half because our two 6mm layers of MDF is going to take up 1.2 centimeters of space, leaving us with 0.8 to 1.2, 1.3 centimeters of space between the books and the shelf. The difference we're talking here when I'm saying they're not quite equal, it is millimeters. So I think when everything is up there, it's not gonna look that odd. And we did actually manage to get all of them on straight. I think 2 of them are very, very slightly not straight, but like it's so minuscule. I also don't think that's really gonna make too much of a difference. I do actually think that the hardest part now is gonna be getting the side batons on and the front ones and actually making straight rectangles. So my dad has actually given me a saw, which will help a lot because it means we don't have to hand saw anything anymore. And he's also given me an angle measurer because we do know that the walls aren't square, so that hopefully if we do have any dramatic angles, we can trim the MDF to where we need it to be, either using the sander or the wood cutting attachment we have on a multi-tool that my dad got us for Christmas the year that we moved in, which is also going to come in handy. I could sit and read for a bit. I really need to do that. I need to finish the episode of Charlotte or Scrap It I'm working on, especially now that my library is in shambles. But I actually think that I might go play with the saw while I'm waiting for Curtis to arrive. We ordered takeout so that I didn't have to stop and cook. So I have a very nutritious meal of chicken strips and some of Curtis's cheesy chips to keep me going through the night. Good morning. It is Monday morning and I have a lot of work that I intended to do today. I have a lot of work that I need to get through this week in general, but instead of maybe prioritizing a little bit of that and then carrying on with this later in the afternoon, I'm actually going to do the opposite, because when I am passionate about something, there is no stopping me. Like I have to keep going until it's done. So my dream for today is to finish the actual structure of the shelves. It's pretty much to the point where they only need painting. So I'll show you where we got up to last night. I think yesterday was the hardest part of the shelves that we now finally have done. So we got all of the side pieces in on both sides here. Some of them a little bit more successfully than others. Most of them pretty fine. This wall is definitely the wonkiest of the two. So like you can see here, there is a bit of a gap here that we're going to stick some filler in. We also have, I think the first ones that we did were these ones, so they're a little bit more out of line than the others, which once again filler should pretty much sort out. I have put spirit levels on them all. They are all pretty much straight. I have also laid timbers across them like so, and then if we spirit level this, you can see there pretty much straight. So I'm pretty happy with all of that. So what we need to do today is put all of these guys on the fronts like this. I do have center bars as well to give the MDF some support across the middle, because these are going to be hardback books on here. If you were wondering how wonky the walls are, so at the bottom down here the wall is shorter across, so these two I think are 86.5 across, like the long ones that go on the front. I can't remember what the backs were, but then all of these top ones are 87.5 across, but all of the shelves pretty much are 86 or 86.5 at the back and 87.5 at the front. So the problem that we're going to have is that these MDF shelves, which I've had cut to 87 to 30, like they only fit in. It doesn't help that the walls are text, but like at the back here, we can't go any further. So we are gonna have to kind of plane a little bit off the ends to get them in at the back, where the wall is unfortunately a little bit narrower, so that that fits. Saw your silhouette in the backlight. Swear we could have met in a past life. Dreaming every night like the last time. So I end all my days with you. I have taken a little bit of a backseat on this project today. One, because I did have a lot of work to do today. I could not get out of it. I had a video, well, I still have a video to edit. I didn't finish it. And I also had like 70 Etsy orders to pack. So I have not done any work on the shelf so far today. And it is almost 8 p.m. Is that right? Wow. Yeah, I really just questioned my ability to tell the time there. I've just finished doing my bookmark orders actually. But part of the reason why I have taken a backseat today, something that I did not want to do was individually plane 14 sheets of MDF to the exact contours of my Victorian walls. Luckily, Curtis did that for me. He actually had a great time. I woke up this morning feeling so overwhelmed. Like, I cannot do 14 of these because as well as anything else, like I don't want sanding in here if possible, like machine sanding, which is how, because some of them needed like less than half a centimeter off and just, you know, like rounding out to the shape of the walls. So you have to go, because this is the front of the house, you have to go out to the back to do the sanding, sand a tiny bit, come back, like see if it fits. I don't have the patience for that. Luckily, my man does. He's actually completed that today and he's worked as well. He's a miracle man. And we now have all of the panels on all of the shelves. This one up here that's like overhanging is actually the bottom one for that shelf, I think, that has been placed there. Can I fit my camera on here? Oh my god, I can. Hi. I love this shadowy shot. So we have all 7 of the tops on and then the majority of the bottoms are down here. So the next step is to glue them on. I am going to flip you around though so you can see what they look like now, because I don't think I've showed you what they look like after we finished yesterday. We put all the front and the center bars on. It was a little bit of a palaver. I still think that the hardest part of this has been the side buttons, these cheeky guys under here that are attached to the wall. They were the worst. And now we have to glue and nail everything down. So we have some, I don't know where it is. We have some decorator's caulk. I just call it caulk. I'm going to be honest. That's what I call it. I think it's more like caulk, but it's caulk. We also have some like no more nails glue to glue the MDF panels down. And we're also going to be using panel pins. We do have some gaps like here that are a little bit wider. That is because I had them all cut to 87 by 30, not really taking into account the fact that some of these, like especially the top ones, are actually 87.5 at the front. So I now have some like quite thick gaps in places that we're going to need to fill. But we're getting there. I am not really worried, but we don't have any clamps. So I don't know how many panel pins I'm going to need to be able to stick these on here. But after that, we just need to go in, fill in all of the gaps and then paint. And the painting I'm not as worried about. I'm going to be probably doing the painting by myself because Curtis doesn't really paint. If anything needs painting, it's me that does it. And I think I'm just going to paint them white. I don't really know what to do with them. These ones that are on this side that I had professionally done, that's just the primer. I never actually painted them. So I am going to prime them first. Obviously I have to because it is like raw pine and like MDF. And then I'm going to have to go out. I think, am I going to use emulsion? I don't know what paint to use. We'll discover that when we get to it. But first up, we need to glue everything down and secure it. I am hoping that this is going to be one of the easiest parts of the job. I'm hoping that the majority of the difficult things are over now. The only thing that I think I'm going to have any trouble with is potentially making the filler look smooth, filling all the gaps and making it all kind of look professional before the paint goes on. Honestly though, once again, I'm not a patient person, so I do think it's going to be Curtis, who is definitely going to be Curtis that does the filling. I'm not doing that. So update, I didn't like what the shelf was doing when I was hitting it with a hammer, which honestly makes a lot of sense. So we're going glue only. The problem is that we don't have any clamps. So we've stuck the top one on. That's probably going to be fine. I could even weight it down with some books. But the underneath ones, is gravity going to screw us over here? I don't know. Do you remember I replaced the backing on my big paperback shelves and I bought a staple gun and I was in B&Q and I was like, oh, should I get the one that also shoots nails? I don't know. I don't need a nail gun. It's a little bit more expensive. I wish I got the nail gun now because it would have come in handy right now. It is kind of early and I have not had coffee yet, so I'm all over the place. But I probably shouldn't be working on this before coffee. But last night we did figure out what we're going to do regarding fastening the boards to the timbers. We have already glued all of the top boards, we could not glue the bottom ones. Gravity was against us. So Curtis is at the dentist right now, and then he's going to go and get some more adhesive because we ran out. We used all of the adhesive we had, fastening all of the top boards, and also some clamps to help us keep the bottom boards up. Now, in terms of like mechanical fastenings, we did kind of find a workaround to that because I rang my dad. I was like, okay, I don't want to use nails, so let us try screws, let us try the drill. My drill doesn't fit in the gap with the bit on, so I rang my dad. He suggested that I try to just use the screw attachment without an actual bit and don't go with pilot holes. That still didn't fit. And the main reason that I did ring my dad actually is to ask if he had a nail gun that I could borrow, but the one that my dad has is way too heavy duty for this job. It fires like 2-inch nails, it needs a compressor, it's not really fit for the situation. And when I looked at Screwfix and B&Q, these small nail guns you can buy that are like £30 only fire 3mm brads, and the MDF is 3mm, so we need one of the ones that's like £200-300. Not really willing to invest that right now. So a suggestion that my dad came up with that has worked is to use the pliers to hold the nail while you hammer it in. Now, I'm still not incredibly happy about hammering into the shelves. It just gives me the fear a little bit, but it's what I'm gonna have to do. And I did put the rest of the nails in the top board last night. I was happy with how it worked. I have used the smallest nails that I have as well to make it a little bit easier, and I really have to bang them in there to make them lie flat, so obviously they don't tear up my books when I'm pulling them on and off the shelves. So last night, to hold the boards down that were glued, I put all of my dumbbells on them, and now I'm pretty confident with the weight capacity, like the holding capacity of these shelves, because these black ones, these are 6 kilo dumbbells, and I did expect them all to come crashing to the floor in the night, but we seem to be okay. So while Curtis is at the dentist, I'm going to put my audiobook on. I've got a nice coffee as well, but I'm listening to the audiobook of These Violent Lights by Chloe Gong, which is my last book for Shelve It or Scrap It, which is a video I want to go up tomorrow. I still have over an hour of footage to edit. I still have like 5 hours of the audiobook for this. It's not even a very good audiobook as well. I don't really like the narrator, but until Curtis gets back and we can start securing those bottom boards, I'm going to see if I can get nails in all of the top ones. I don't know whether there's any point at this stage doing this because now the glue is pretty much dry. It reaches maximum strength at 24 hours. We're at like probably about 12 right now, but still like the glue isn't as soft as it was 12 hours ago. So I don't really know whether I'm wasting my time doing this, but like for the sake of uniformity, I'll do that and listen to my audiobook for however long it takes. It's 6 nails per shelf, and then when we do the bottom boards, I'm going to try and do the same, obviously with the clamps holding it up, and that one's obviously a little bit harder because of the angle that you have to nail at, but that's the only workaround that we could kind of think of at this point when the drill won't fit unless we got a mini drill, and we can't, like the nail gun that we need for this job would just be out of budget for this project, but it's worth knowing so that if we decide to do a project like this again, like we know how much the nail gun is that we would need to finish it off.
Yeah, we should share a backseat in a taxi to get home. No need for either of us at this point to sleep alone. 'Cause I don't like my days with you. You can waste my time.
Good morning. It has been a little bit of time. It's been about a week since I made any progress on the shelves. I had a busy weekend and I had to make sure all of my work was in order before I could come back to it. But in that time, Curtis has actually been through and filled all of the gaps between the shelves and the wall. I was going to say between the MDF and the timber, there wasn't really any. The glue pretty much did the job. And he's also been over like all of the screw holes where I did attempt to countersink them. I have never countersinked before, and I also did not have countersink drill bits. So I was using a large drill bit and a smaller drill bit to kind of get that countersink effect, and it's not gone completely flat across the entirety of the shelves. I think when I'm painting though, or when I have painted, I'm going to get enough coverage on them so they're not incredibly noticeable. They're truly not sticking up that much anyway. You may just be able to see like the faint outline of the shape of a screw, which I'm sure I can live with. If worse came to worse, if it looked absolutely horrendous, I do have some MDF left over and I can make front panels to stick across. It would obviously be awkward because the shelves at that point would already be painted and I'd have to go ahead and reseal them, repaint them to make them all look uniform, but that's kind of like last case scenario. The reason why I didn't do this is because I wasn't quite sure the exact dimensions of the MDF pieces when I went to B&Q, and I don't have a way to cut them, so I'd have to get those measurements, take the sheet to my dad who has a table saw where he would be able to trim the MDF pieces into the size that I need. But like I said, that's last case scenario. We're not really thinking about that right now because that is something that I'm only going to do if I absolutely have to. What I'm planning on doing today is getting the first layer of primer on, the first coat. If possible, I would like to get a second coat on as well if I need it. I do have a nail appointment this afternoon and then I have a catch up with a friend. I want to get a workout in and then it's pretty much going to be like bedtime, you know, but maybe after the catch up with a friend before I go to bed, I'll be able to sand this down and see if we need a second coat of primer. I do not currently have the paint that I need. I was torn what colour to paint them, and I feel like actually looking in my viewfinder now has answered my question. I was tempted to paint them blue, but to paint them blue I would have to paint the wall, like this back wall blue, which means that I'd have to take all of my desk out and paint that back wall blue in the alcove as well, which I didn't really want to do, but I thought the blue would be like quite a striking effect to have like all of this wall blue. But then actually thinking about it, with it already being grey, the angle that we're looking at now, I feel like if I painted the shelves the grey that matches the wall, they'd look pretty good. I am probably leaning towards the grey. It is a lot less work, and honestly, I decorated this room 5 years ago, and if I were to then go ahead and paint these back alcoves blue, I actually think I would change the shade of blue that I use, and I'd go for like a more dark and muted navy, because this one is the Dulux Sapphire Salute. I do really like it, but when the sun is on it, sometimes it's like really blue, and I'm like, whoa, that's like a lot. So I think it's best that we don't make this into any more of an elaborate project than it already is, and I just go ahead and use the grey. Now, I haven't decided what type of paint I'm going to use yet, because I think it's recommended you use like eggshell or satin. I don't particularly like satin paint. I've got to be honest, I'm not a fan. So I think I'm going to go for the eggshell, because I also don't want a full gloss effect. I want them to kind of blend into the wall as opposed to look really obvious, even though gloss would obviously be the most durable option of the paints. Anyway, I'm going to take you over because I wasn't sure whether I should be touching up the walls, which definitely need doing. Like, we have some marks here. That is where Curtis got glue on my wall. As you can see, he is a very thorough boy. He is, which is why I also now have filler all over the walls. But I obviously need to touch up the walls, but I need to paint the shelves, and I wasn't sure which ones I should be doing first. I did look it up, and people do recommend that you tape up the shelves. Obviously, like, you do the shelves first, you masking tape all of the edges, paint the shelves, and then you don't get a mess on the walls. But I already have a mess on the walls, so I already need to touch all of this up. So I actually think at this point it would be better for me to prime and paint the shelves and then mask the shelves and touch up the walls. So that's what I'm going to do. As you can see, like here, I have tried to countersink it, but I guess I've countersunk them so that they are flat in terms of like they're not sticking up. Like, this one's gone completely. You can't see that there was ever a screw. I think it's here. Yeah, the screw's there. Can't see it. So some of them I have managed to do, some of them I haven't. But I think that it's because I didn't realize, like, when I did it, I made it so that they were flat to the wood so that they don't protrude. I didn't think about the fact that they would have to be flatter. So like with the screw in, there would have to be a recess, and then the filler would go in the recess and leave a smooth plane. So that's kind of where I messed up. Honestly, for a beginner, somebody who's never done this before, two people who aren't very good at DIY, I'm really happy with these. So I am going to go get my primer out. I did buy some primer, nothing fancy. It's just like the Leyland brand, which is really common here. I've bought it from other places before for other projects. And I did buy myself a mini roller and a mini roller tray because I thought that it would make my life a little bit easier. And we're going to get started on the top coat of the primer. I do have an audiobook today. It is a different one though than last time. Oops. I have started Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinnerman, which everyone is talking about right now, and I'm enjoying it so far. This is the only vlog I'm filming this week, so you're not only going to hear my thoughts on this in a wrap up, I think. So far so good, having a good time. It'll help me pass the time while I paint these shelves. Welcome to what I'm hoping is going to be one of my final days working on this project. This morning I did the second coat of primer. I'm pretty sure that we have a good coverage now. I'm happy with it. We've also added just a touch more filler in a couple of areas that I discovered when I was painting. And up here you can see that I have kind of colour tested the colour that I'm going to be painting the shelves. I got the emulsion that I originally painted the walls with out of the cupboard and just tested here to make sure it was the same colour as the walls, because I did a boo-boo when I had to patch up some paint in the living room because I got 3 different shades of grey to paint the 2 downstairs rooms of my house with. And so I checked that it was the right grey, like I knew which grey it was. And the brush was damp, so it's not like the best coverage, but I just wanted kind of an idea of what it would look like painting the shelves grey. And then I went to B&Q. I got some frog tape for when I'm touching up the walls. We already have some, but I definitely don't think that we've got enough. I picked up the paint for the shelves, which this is the Dulux Chic Shadow Eggshell. It says that it covers 12 meters squared. I have used a can of primer, pretty much the entire can of primer that I got, which was the same size as this, so I'm pretty sure that it will cover the shelves. I did put the surface that I'm dealing with into a square meterage calculator, and I think it's saying that I'm painting 4 square meters. That doesn't seem like a lot. And this saying that it covers 12 square meters? I don't know. I'm hoping I have enough because this wasn't cheap. The small can of paint was £22. And then to add insult to injury, I don't have enough wall paint to touch up the walls. I've got a tiny bit in the bottom of a massive tin. So then I had to go spend another like 20 something pounds on a 2.5 litre tub of emulsion, which, I mean, if I ever need to repaint anything, at least I've got it. You should always have some leftover paint from what you painted your walls in case you need to do touch-ups, and I did, but I've already done some touch-ups recently after we had some work done to fix some issues with damp that we had. So I'm going to get my first coat of this on now, hopefully. Fingers crossed everything goes smoothly. Whoopsie. And then I have to wait 6 hours between coats, so I'm going to go get some work done, come back, get the second coat on this evening, and then I do have to work tomorrow. So Saturday, I am going to touch up the walls. Then we should be done.
Staring at the tapestry above the bed you gave me. I still haven't washed my sheets, 'cause I still smell you in the bed you used to rest your head on. How the hell am I supposed to see? Face our demons. Can we change like the seasons? I wanna make her better, wipe the makeup from her face. I wish I hadn't met her, I wish I didn't wanna stay. I wanna wear her sweater and I'll break down in my room, 'cause there's nothing sweeter than the bitter taste of you. And the bitter taste of you.
So these shelves are done. And I'm so excited. I've been glaring at them for the last like 2 hours waiting for the emulsion to dry so I can get some books on them. And honestly, I should be tabling this for tomorrow because it's almost 6 p.m. I'm working with natural light and that is going to start to dwindle very, very soon because it hasn't been the brightest day to start off with. But I'm just really, really eager. Like, it has taken almost 2 weeks. It's Friday today, so tomorrow it would have been 2 weeks for this project. There was 5 days in the middle where absolutely nothing happened. I think if we'd have had like 4 days that we could have cleared, we could have just beasted through and got this entire thing done, but we've both been working in between and had various like other things going on, so it's taking a little bit longer. They are not perfect as well, my paintwork especially. As you can see, we have a textured wall here, and that is quite forgiving in a lot of ways because it means when it comes to the edge where the filler is and it's still a little bit rough, it doesn't matter, you can't tell that it's rough because the wall is rough to start off with. I'd have to replaster the entire entire room to be able to smooth the walls, and it's just not really worth the money for the sake of vanity. But then because this is quite an old house and it has this textured wall, the corners in here, like in the where it transitions from blue to grey, are curved. Like it's not like a pointy corner, it's got a curve in it, which makes it really hard to paint the straight line. And then the fact that the wall is knobbly, like if you try and cut down, like it throws your brush to the side. So the painting especially is not perfect. There's little bits here, you can see like tiny bits of filler coming through. So a professional would have done a better job for sure. But for an amateur, I don't know, man, these are looking pretty good. There are like tons of imperfections on them. I think I've done a pretty good job with the screws for the most part. Like there's only a couple that you can really see. And the same with the nails, like they're really not noticeable at all. But once again, especially because I feel like I'm presenting a TV show, because we have painted them to blend into the wall. I feel like we've actually done a really good job of disguising all of that. And you can't really see for the most part, and you're definitely not going to be able to see just as a casual viewer. And even myself, I'm not going to be that close to them. And when we get books on them as well, so excited, guys. The first thing that I need to do is get the books that were originally on this bookcase back on these shelves. The issue that I'm going to have with that is that this bookcase was originally dedicated to my favorite authors. So the first 4 shelves and the top had books from my 4 favorite authors. So that's J. Kristoff, Sarah J. Maas, Brandon Sanderson, and Robin Hobb. And then the bottom 2 shelves were like miscellaneous hardbacks. Now, I kind of, because of how uniform these are, although I will say one of them, this one, don't look at it too hard because you will see that it's not perfectly straight. It's very, very slightly off, but because everything else is kind of straight, I feel like it's noticeable, but maybe that's just me. And maybe I shouldn't have even said anything, but still, I'm proud of the job that I've done, okay? But because of how they look, I think they will look stunning if they are a solid wall of hardbacks. And realistically, the issue that I have with storage right now is for hardbacks. My paperback shelves are also at capacity, but honestly, there's a couple of things I can see from here that I want to unhaul, which is going to create a gap. And it's much harder for me in general to find space with some of the like eclectic bookcases that I have. And you know what? Book propaganda that I am not falling for, if we're going to hop on a TikTok trend, is why don't you get a Billy bookshelf? I don't know, because they're boring as fuck. Why don't you replace your interesting looking shelves with a Billy bookcase? I'm all right, thank you. I understand that the sentiment behind it is helpful, but I don't mind a Billy bookcase either. It's just I wouldn't replace the shelves that I have with ones that look less interesting, because it's more of like a, I guess like a decor perspective as opposed to being optimum shelving capacity. Because I don't have Billy bookshelves, I have a lot of interestingly shaped shelves where paperbacks just fit much better than hardbacks do. So it would be great, and I think it would be very aesthetically pleasing if we could turn this into a complete wall of hardbacks. The issue with that though would be that there are a lot of paperbacks that came off these shelves, and I don't think I can fit them all onto that bookcase. Brandon Sanderson and Robin Hobb especially, pretty much all of the books I own by them with a couple of exceptions are paperbacks, and then I have like half of my J. Kristoff books are paperback and half are hardback. Sarah J. Maas is absolutely fine, don't own a single Sarah J. Maas paperback. So this is essentially going to be a much bigger operation than just filling these shelves, because I also think I'm going to end up reorganizing a lot of bookcases in my house to kind of reconfigure what we have going on here. But my idea for right now is to get all of the hardbacks. I want to see exactly how many books we had on the original bookcase as well, to compare it to how many we're going to get on when I refill it, just to see how much more space I've created for myself by changing up the shelves. And I think I'm going to definitely put my J. Kristoff paperbacks on the paperback shelves, because I have less of those, and a lot of them are like J. Kristoff and Amy Kaufman, whereas my solid J. Kristoff books, the majority are hardback. And then for Brandon Sanderson and Robin Hobb, I might put them both, fingers crossed, maybe I'll see, because it's a lot of books that I own by both of them, but I like stack them in weird ways for the paperbacks. So maybe they'll all fit on the very top shelf. So that is what we're going to start off with, and we'll see how we progress. It's annoying because when the light starts to fade, I'm going to stop, but I can't not do it, because I need to do it right now. So something about this actually looks really good in a chaotic used bookstore kind of way. I don't think I'm going to leave them like this though. I think either Robin Hobb or Sanderson, probably Robin Hobb, is going to end up mixed into the paperback shelves when I get over there, which will happen in this video. I know for sure that I have something that I'm going to unhaul that's going to leave a big gap. Not quite big enough for Robin Hobb, but what is going to happen in this video as well is because we're doing what we're doing, I'm also going to be rejiggling the stacks, the shelve it or scrap it stacks quite significantly. And maybe what's going to happen is we'll get a bunch of hardbacks onto these shelves and get in like Robin Hobb or Brandon Sanderson, maybe both, onto the paperback shelves. We'll put a bunch of paperbacks in the stacks, which would be interesting actually because they're predominantly hardbacks. I don't want to completely flip it the other way around so it's all paperbacks, but if we could maybe get it 50-50, I think that could be interesting because a lot of my oldest books in my collection are paperback. The books that are coming up for Shelve It or Scrap It will be ones that I've had for a really long time, if we can make it work that way, mixed with some of the newest stuff that I've got. So that's potentially what is going to happen here. Right now, I'm going to keep my J. Kristoff paperbacks and small hardbacks to one side because I think they are definitely going to be going onto the paperback shelves, and I'll do that very soon. But I just, right now, didn't want to start mixing things up too much because I want a count of exactly how much I had on that bookshelf before we move on and start creating chaos. So I have now gotten all of the books that were on the original bookcase onto these shelves. And you know what? Like, I tested these shelves. They were pretty sturdy. It makes me nervous. That's a lot of books. And you can see now, I feel, now that the books are on and they're all relatively the same height, you can kind of see how some of the shelves are not perfectly straight. I'm still real proud of what I've done. Look here, the gap at the left side is a lot smaller than the gap at the right side, but we live, we learn. And so far I'm thrilled with the project. So 117 is the number to beat. We are obviously going to beat it though, because we still have 2 completely empty shelves, which, let me tell you just how good my estimation was, because when we started this project, I estimated that we would get 3 to 5 extra books per shelf. And that would put us at, I think, 14 to 35. Is that right? By my estimation, we are going to get an extra 35 to 50 on, with this shelf having like 18 books on, because a lot of them are quite thick. This one has 20. This one has some smaller books that are 24. So we're going to get another like 35 to 50 books on shelves. And I'm very excited about it. But now we have to kind of start mixing things up to see how we're actually going to have them. Oh, something that's good about these as well. I actually don't know what I'm going to do because I had trinkets on my other shelves, which I actually quite liked. But I also really like how they look being pulled forward. I also have, because these are deeper than they need to be, there's space at the back. And what I've done with the space that I have at the back of the one singular Billy bookshelf I have upstairs is I put arcs behind there and also just like random duplicate editions that are sentimental but don't need to be on display. So I had an extra copy of Obsidio, which was a souvenir copy that I got in Rome, not realizing that I had a copy waiting at home for me. So that's behind. And then my friend went to a Sarah Ella Reefy sign-in and got me the Waterstones edition signed and personalized to me of Faybound. So I have an extra Waterstones edition of that, but the ones that I have on display are the Goldsboro editions. So that is tucked behind as well. And then also I decided to unhaul the Illumicrate edition of The Last Wish by Andrzej Sapkowski. I'm pretty sure I have 3 editions of this book and it's like a 3-star read for me. I need to reread this. I mean, this has always been, I haven't damaged this. This is just how terrible quality this book is. Like, all of the spine is wearing off. I haven't even read it. It's just been displayed on my shelf. And I also have the illustrated edition, which is a far superior edition, which it's on the fireplace at the bottom, so it might end up on these shelves. And I also potentially have a paperback as well, but I can't remember if I unhauled the paperback when I got one of the special editions of the book. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to move the J. Kristoff paperbacks onto the paperback shelves, and then I've had an idea about what to do with Robin Hobb. So we're going to see if it's going to work, but I'm going to have to take you over here, which unfortunately is a little bit of a crazy area of the library now, because I mean, it's fine here, but I still have all this stuff on the floor, so I can't really get into my shelves. So I think what I'm going to do, because I want to get to this bookcase as well, I'm going to get all of these boxes out. This still has a bunch of trinkets in. I'll transfer them all to one box, get the spare boxes out, and then move the table. I don't know where, because I need access to a lot of this room right now. And then we'll go and have a look what we're unhauling from here, which is right here. Can you see it? I think it's pretty obvious. Okay, so for the paperback shelves, the one that we are definitely unhauling is the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan. You all know I was a co-host for this series for a read-along of the entire thing. I did indeed read the entire series. I did stop buying them at book 7 though, because I was also getting the audiobooks from Audible. And I was like, why am I paying like £10 for a paperback paperback and then £8 for a credit for an audiobook every other month. That is far more money than I want to invest in this series. I actually don't even enjoy that much. And then by the time we got to the end, I wasn't even getting the audiobooks on Audible. I was getting them off Libby, and they've essentially just sat there until the read along was over so that I could be sure that I didn't want them. And they are really nice editions. And something that I really love about these is that they match my Game of Thrones editions. I don't need them, and they do take up a lot of space. Something else that I want to unhaul is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I did not like this book, and I gave it like 3 stars. I was very underwhelmed by it. I read it years and years ago before BookTube, but this is like the really nice white paperback edition with red sprayed edges that's kind of rare. I did pick it up secondhand, and it is pretty crusty and dusty. It's been on my shelves for a long time. Every time I think of unhauling it, I'm like, oh, but it is a good edition though. So these have been sat on my shelves for quite some time, and the reason why I haven't moved them is because I don't have any room in my video schedule to actually film a unhaul for a while. I already have like a massive stack of books to unhaul, and I didn't want to film the video early, and then because then by the time it goes up I'm going to have another stack of books that need unhauling. But at this point I'm just going to have to live with the piles of books on the floor that will eventually be leaving my library so that I can get rid of the other piles of books on the floor and get them onto shelves. So now that we've cleared some of that space, I'll leave this gap down here for now, and I'll see how we fare with J. Kristoff. So I actually have an arc for Aurora Burning, but I think I'm going to leave this on the other shelves and tuck it behind. And I have a Brandon Sanderson book here that I don't need, but let's get these up. This is crazy because I've had a dedicated J. Kristoff shelf for a very long time, but these books started off here on these shelves a very long time ago. I haven't even looked if this is where they go alphabetically, which it absolutely is not. Then we also have space for the Aurora books, which goes Rising, Burning. That is perfect. I can't get over how perfect that is actually. So now that those are out of the way, I've got even more space up there. I guess now what I want to do is figure out Robin Hobb. This bookcase is my pride and joy. It is my absolute favorite one out of all of the ones that I've got in my house. I have told this story before, but this is actually the like hymn bookshelf from the end of the pews in a church. My mum and dad got 2 of them in auction, and when I moved I brought one with me. It is obviously not great for books in terms of like the dimensions of it. Everything's kind of like sideways. It is a little bit of a mess right now, but the thing that I was supposed to be doing when I ended up building these shelves in the first place was just tidying up my library. So I obviously didn't get to do that, which will be done when this project is complete. But my thought for Robin Hobb is to, because this was like the first bookshelf that I had as well that I could fit hardbacks on sideways like this, so these have been here for a very, very long time, but I think it's time to change it up. So what I intend to do is remove the Sissy Brass series. I have a lot of Samantha Shannon books over here as well, like all of the Bone Season, and some YA superhero books, as well as just a few random mass market paperbacks because they just fit really well there. So I'm going to take those off. I'm going to get all of my Robin Hobb books in here with the Tawny Man series. I'm hoping will fit this way, which they will, and then transfer the full-size hardbacks over to those shelves. So next on my agenda is to rearrange the Brandon Sandersons and get them all on this top shelf. The way that it's looking right now, it looks like I'm going to have space up there, but instead of filling it with something else, I actually have a bunch of other Brandon Sanderson books. There's one right here actually. I bought the Fairy Loot editions of the first 2 Stormlight books, and then I stopped getting them because all they really have is a gold edge and they were kind of expensive. But I also have all of the Mistborn books in similar editions, so if I have space I will dig all of those out from where they're hiding and get those up there as well and create space somewhere else. These already look so good. I'm so happy with them. I am going to have to figure out what I want to do with my trinkets. I'm going to sleep on that and decide in the morning. I'm kind of just doing bits right now and kind of resolving them as it happens. But I still have 2 and like a third shelves to fill. And I think what I'm going for with these is mainly series, not all series, but I want them to be books that I've read, because I think that they look really good when it's like big blocks of things that look the same together, aka series. And for the most part, the series that I have in hardbacks are ones that I've at least started. So I do have on the bottom of the bookshelf in front of the window where we just put the Robin Hobbs, I have a bunch of series down there. I actually think I'm going to leave those there because throw it, shelve it or scrap it, I've been saying that what I'm trying to do is get all of the books, like all of the things on shelves downstairs for the hardbacks, paperback shelves don't count, are things that I've read. So all of the stuff that we've put back on here that was already on the other shelves are things that I've read, or at least series I've started if I haven't read the entire thing. And I ran out of space down here and I started on the Billy bookshelf upstairs. So the next thing I'm going to go do is go and get all of those books. It's so annoying because it's really annoying, like keep moving all of these books up. But I'm going to go get all of the books that I've read / series I've started from upstairs and start getting those on here. I don't know what to do about the stacks because I've recently started putting sequels in the stacks to, like, when they arrive, things that I've pre-ordered to try and get to them quicker. But I'm thinking, because the stacks are going to be so much smaller when we're done here, that I think I might just pull the sequels back out and get them back on the shelves as we go.
Now I'm drunk on Chardonnay that I bought for our picnic day, and we never got to drink it, so I'm writing what I'm thinking. You could have told me sooner, I was sure that it was me. You used to want to hold me close, you used to want all of me. What's the reason for your tears, and what's the reason for your fears? In my mind,
so now that I have all of the books that I want on the, oh, they look so good on the shelves over there, I have a half empty bookcase upstairs now. So I'm going to have to refill that, and I'm going to be refilling that one with the books out of the stacks. Now, as it stands, this is a little preview of the next episode of Shelve It or Scrap It, which I actually really need to start. I'm starting it in a couple of days. I've just been waiting to finish this project first, obviously, because I'm about to heavily deplete these stacks. We currently have 60 books in the stacks. So I've got like one empty shelf and two almost empty shelves upstairs. You can fit approximately 10 books per shelf on the little narrow billy that I've got up there. So I'm going to take 30 full-size hardbacks upstairs and see what happens. If you've been keeping up with Shelve It or Scrap It as well, I keep saying like I need to take everything off that bookcase upstairs and rearrange it so it's actually in full alphabetical order, because I started by arranging it by subscription boxes. So all of the Illumicrate books, all of the Book of the Month books were together, but then they started to overflow their shelves, so I just wanted to alphabetize the entire thing, which I will be doing today as well. So I'm just going to take 30 from here, dump them on the bed upstairs, get everything else off and alphabetize the entire thing, and then anything that doesn't fit, I'm anticipating bringing like 3 or 4 books back down, then they can go back in the stacks. But we are going to severely deplete these now because, I mean, there's 60 books here, I'm taking 30 upstairs, you know what I mean? So I think what I'm going to do, because I don't know how to decide what books to take upstairs, because this is the thing with Shelve It or Scrap It, like I want to keep things in here that I want to read, that I'm anticipating, so that it's not all books that are kind of like old and tired and I've lost my excitement for in the stack. But at the same time, I also want to leave books down here that I'm not as excited for, that I tend to overlook, so that they actually get read as well. I think because I like to gamify everything, I'm not going to film the full process of this, but I think I'm actually going to count how many full-size hardbacks I've got, and I'm going to use a random number generator to pick 30 books, and those are the ones that I'm going to take upstairs. I mean, if I'm being honest, it's going to be most of the books, because we have a stack of paperbacks here that aren't eligible. There's a paperback here, there's a couple of small hardbacks up here, so we probably have maybe 40 full-size hardbacks. So a lot of them are going to be going up. I'm really excited about this. This is going to be so fun. It's also going to change the entire dynamic of Shelve It or Scrap It, because when the books here are not predominantly hardback, we are going to be looking at different shelves. And with a lot of paperbacks here, we could be revisiting my paperback shelves quite frequently, which hold some of the oldest books that I own. So I'm going to get started on that. I'll time lapse it, I guess. Oh, but before we get started, there is one book from here that I'm going to unhaul. I have had enough of staring at this book. I don't want to read it. In a past episode of Shelve It or Scrap It, I have discussed why I own this book. This is Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. It is the companion novel to Priory of the Orange Tree. As far as I'm aware, that series is made up of really thick tomes that are set at different points in time following different characters in the same world. I do believe there is a 3rd installment coming out in this series later this year that I'm not at all anticipating, but I really, really love the Bone Season series by Samantha Shannon. I gave Priory of the Orange Tree 3 stars. I didn't love it. I could talk to you for days about the things that I didn't like about that book. There were things that I did enjoy as well, like Samantha Shannon's writing style and the world. Just in execution, I didn't love it. And from what I've heard of this book, even people who really love Priory of the Orange Tree haven't necessarily got on with this one. So I pre-ordered this one because I love Samantha Shannon. The covers to this series are some of the most beautiful covers I've ever seen. But realistically, like the thought of this coming up in an episode of Shelve It or Scrap It makes me nauseous. So I think it's time to say goodbye, which I am sad about it. That I want to like it. I just realistically don't think I'm going to. And the way that I avoid this book like a plague is a sign that it needs to go. So we're going to unhaul that one, and then I'm going to start figuring out what 30 books we're taking upstairs. A quick update before I actually crack on with this. I've just counted how many hardbacks I have, like the full size ones. I moved all of the little ones over here, and I have 44 full hardbacks in total in the stacks. So what I'm actually going to do, instead of randomly generating the ones that I'm pulling out, I'm going to randomly generate the ones that are staying here, and the rest are coming upstairs with me. So in terms of what is definitely staying in the stacks, I feel like that went pretty well, and I'm glad, that I decided to do it that way, because we really do have a mixed bag here. We have a thriller somewhere, which I almost always unhaul all of my thrillers after I've read them. There's some stuff that I've had for a while that I'm not super excited about. I did put this one in voluntarily because I did put it in the stacks intentionally, so I wanted to keep it here. There's some stuff that I'm really intrigued to try in here, some of my more recent acquirements that I'm very excited about, as well as some older stuff that I've heard is really good, and then some stuff that's just in between. So this is, I feel, a very good selection to remain for Shelve It or Scrap It. Don't anticipate that I'm actually going to get all 30 of the remaining books onto the shelf upstairs, but we'll see what ends up making its way back down here.
She misses you. Can we both face our demons? Can we?
I am very, very hot. To be able to film in here, I have to close the door because it's quite a small room. And with the bookshelf being like directly adjacent to the wall with the doors on, if the door's open, there's no space for the tripod. So it's getting really hot in here now. But I have successfully rearranged this entire bookshelf. Everything is in alphabetical order now. I have moved a couple of my Empire of the Vampire editions. So I have literally all of the UK ones. I've got the Forbidden Planet one, the Illumicrate one, the Goldsboro one, and the Waterstones one. So the Waterstones ones are my reading copies. The Illumicrate editions are my favorite, so I'm definitely keeping those. The other two sets I may not hold on to, but I am going to wait until the release of the final book this year to complete all of my sets before I do anything about that. So in my typical fashion of putting duplicates behind the books in front, I've moved some of the J. Kristoff books to fill the spaces behind, but I do still have a few unread books double stacked in there. So my goal is, when we deplete the stacks for Shelve It or Scrap It, like there are so many other areas of my library that I need to tackle to get on top of my TBR. I honestly think I'm doing an awesome job, in case you were interested. I think I will then, when we get down to, I don't know, 20, 15 books. We'll see what happens. But when the stacks start to run low, I'm going to pull out all of the unread books I've got double stacked to replenish them, because that is something that I don't want. Like, I do want to keep that space for things that I don't necessarily need on display, like ARC copies, which I like to keep hold of. There's not a lot you can really do with them aside from donate them anyway, to be honest. But if they're like cool ones, then I like to keep hold of them, so I can slot those in spaces behind. But there was only one book that did not fit in these shelves, which is insane. I can't believe I got all the 29 books that I brought up here on there, and that is Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young. So this one, I mean, it's just because it was the last one alphabetically, and that's where I run out of space. So this one is going to be going back into the stacks.
I wanna make her better, wipe the makeup from her face. I wish I heard it better, I wish I didn't wanna say, I wanna wear her sweater.
So as you can probably see behind me, these shelves are now complete. There is just one thing that I did not film for you guys. I actually completely forgot, but it was the trinkets. So I did decide in the end to put the trinkets back on the shelves, and I actually think they look a little bit better with the books pushed towards the back a little bit. There's still a gap between the wall and the back of the books. They haven't gone all the way, but I just really wanted to get the trinkets on there because the majority of the shelves in my library are quite shallow, like they don't have space for trinkets, and I really wanted this one to be as it was, like the one shelf that had like some decorative objects on them, especially because a lot of them are the candles that I made back when I was making candles and selling them. So all of that is done, and I think that they look absolutely stunning. I am honestly so proud of us and so happy with the end result. Now the order has been restored in the library, everything's been reorganized and everything has found a new home. Everything is feeling so much fresher and cleaner in here. I also had the opportunity to do a real big deep clean when I had like a bunch of the furniture out, which was really nice. And I was bang on with my estimate of how many extra books these shelves would hold, because the original bookcase had 117 books on and these shelves are holding 152 books. So that means that we have managed to shelve an extra 35, which I'm pretty sure is exactly the number that I anticipated them holding, which is really great actually. Like my maths were really mathing. I am a little concerned for the walls. I have no reason to doubt the stability of the shelves. They are solid. They were solid when we were putting them up. There's no wobble, there's nothing wrong with them. But obviously now that they're holding 152 books, I am putting a lot of faith in my own workmanship as somebody who went into this project with very little skills. This is the most ambitious project I've ever attempted at home. The only other thing we've really done is that we installed coving in the upstairs bedroom when we got a quote for £1,300 without the cost of the coving to install that. So we said fuck it, went to B&Q and did it ourselves. And that is the only thing that's really given me the confidence to even think that we could have pulled this off. And I'm still very proud of how it turned out, and it is so much better than I expected it to be. It is definitely not perfect, but I think that we did a damn good job. So if you asked me now, like, would I do this again? I think personally I would, but I love a project. Like, it really holds back the depression sometimes, you know, because sometimes I have an itch just to change something in the house when I'm feeling a little bit slumpy. And I love the satisfaction that I have from knowing that I built this and from learning new skills and wanting something and not really being able to achieve it, and then being able to achieve it myself with my own hands is an amazing feeling. However, we spent £200 on these compared to the £750 quote we had like 5 years ago. That is obviously not very much money. I do think that if we got a quote on these now, they would have been much more expensive, probably closer to around £1,000. And so we definitely saved a ton of money, but it did take nearly 2 weeks for them to be completed. My library was in disarray. It was hard for me to work because I was working around it, both in terms of like doing little bits on the shelves in between work, but also physically in here working around it. So I think because I get such deep satisfaction out of projects, I would do it again. But if I had a quote today for £750 to install them, I actually don't think that that's a terrible quote. Like, I think in terms of the amount of time that I spent on these, that's a decent price. And obviously it wouldn't take a professional as long to install these as it did me, but you're paying obviously for the fact that they're skilled, they're trained, and they know what they're doing already. My issue that I'm having right now is that I keep looking at how good these shelves look and I keep looking to the alcove on the other side of the chimney breast. But I do think that if I tried to install another set of shelves and I tried to get them matching, so all of the shelves in line, I would actually go mad trying. And also I was very, very lucky on the measurements with these, because now that the books are in, like, it is very, very close to the top and bottom of the shelves. Like, there is very little room. I definitely underestimated or overestimated the distance on the shelves, and obviously because I measured it to be precise, but as an amateur I'm not going to be the most precise like in reality, and I only left myself a margin of like probably about 1 centimeter between each shelf in terms of the gap and where things have ended up like a little bit out of sync of where they should have been. Those centimeters are quite a bit less than 1 centimeter in some places, but it works. I actually really love the effect. I like my bookshelves to look like books, like not empty space, like full of books, but I also have a decent amount of airflow in these still, because for the most part they're not packed in tight, and I do have that space behind them as well in some places, like a little bit of a gap on the top, which is great as well. So yeah, overall I'm thrilled with this project. I'm really, really proud of myself, and I think I've done an amazing job. They're not perfect by any means, but they have done the job. So I do hope that you guys have enjoyed this one, and if you want to see the full impact that this has had on the stacks for Shelve It or Scrap It, then stay tuned for a new episode coming very, very soon. soon. Down in my comments, if you would like to leave me a little something, but you don't feel like you have anything to say, leave me some sort of tool emoji like a hammer. But aside from that, guys, I do hope you have enjoyed this one. If you have, please don't forget to like if you liked it and subscribe if you wanna. If you head to my description box, you'll find links to my Goodreads, my Instagram, and my Patreon if you'd like to follow me on any of those. But that's it from me today, guys. Bye!
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you will go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.